say the price of my love's not a price that you're willing to pay. You cry in your tea, which you heard in the sea when you see me go by. Why so sad? Remember we made an arrangement when you went away. Now you're making me mad. Remember, despite our estrangement, I'm your man. You'll be back, soon you'll see. You'll remember you belong to me. You'll be back, time will tell. You remember that I served you well. Oceans rise, empires fall. We have seen each other through it all. And when push comes to shove, I will send a fully armed battalion to remind you of my love. Da 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 da. You say our love is draining and you can't go on. You'll be the one complaining when I am gone. And now don't change the subject, 'cause you're my favorite subject. My sweet, submissive subject. My loyal, royal subject. Forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. You'll be back like before. I will fight the fight and win the war. For your love, for your praise. And I'll love you till my dying days. When you're gone, I'll go mad. So don't throw away this thing we had. 'Cause when push comes to shove, I will kill your friends and family to remind you of my love. Da 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 da. Everybody.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Mayday Network. This is The Dispatch. I'm Michelle Kinney. I'm here with Julie Riggin, and that was the wonderful Jonathan Groff in Hamilton. There's only so many times the King of England is going to come to the United States, and I was like, you know what? We're going to watch that today. That's what's going to happen. So the free world sent the King of England to defend democracy in the United States, and we want to talk about it. So, Julie, did you watch the speech?
I did watch the speech. I have to tell you, and can you hear me? It's a little echoey here.
Yeah, it's a little echoey, but
yeah,
it's okay.
Sorry about that, guys. So George III, the real George III, not Jonathan Groff, must be laughing his ass off from wherever he might be right now. Not just because he was mad, which he was, and he went crazy after losing the colonies, but because everything that we fought against has now come to pass. And I don't know if you saw this, Michelle. The White House posted. I don't have the tweet here, although I guess I could pull it up and send it to you. Posted a picture of Charles III and Donald Trump with the header "Two Kings."
Mm-hmm. I have it. 1 second.
Yeah. That is psychotic.
Psychotic.
Psychotic. And again, I have to just stress that it is shocking to me that you have a White House posting this when, if I can only imagine if Barack Obama did this, this would be running on Fox News on a loop 24/7. They'd be waving their pocket constitutions about how we fought, in the Declaration of Independence, how we fought against the monarchy. And now here we are, as you pointed out, where the King of England was sent here. And let's be very clear, the King of England does not do anything without the government of Great Britain telling him what to do. He's a constitutional monarch, and he, irrespective of what he wants to do or say, everything he does or says has to be vetted by the government. So he was sent here by Keir Starmer, who is the Prime Minister of Great Britain, whom Donald Trump has been disparaging over and over and over again, said he's no Winston Churchill, basically called him weak and a loser, and not in so many words, but pretty much. Made fun of the Royal Navy and said they were basically toys, the aircraft carriers that the Royal Navy has. Charles served in the Royal Navy. I say that, and I'm sorry to all my British friends or Commonwealth friends who are watching this, but as an American, it just astonishes me every time I see all of these British royals with their medals on their chest, and I'm like, come on, come on.
I think Harry is probably the one who came closest.
Yeah, Harry, and look, and William, I think, served in some ambulance corps, and Andrew, I think, served in the Falklands. But again, I mean, it's kind of laughable, right?
Or he served in the Caribbean.
Right. Yeah, he might have served in Little St. Jeff's. But what I find fascinating is that you had to have the King of England come here at the behest of the British royal family, because Trump loves nothing more than pomp and circumstance. Mm-hmm. He fancies himself a royal. If you recall, during the first term, when he and his freeloader kids went to Windsor Castle and stayed there, maybe it was Buckingham Palace, I forgot where, but they went to Britain and were like, going crazy like kids at Disneyland, leaning out of the window. Played consistently by the British to appeal to their most ridiculous vanity. And Charles came here, and despite all the jokes and despite all the, aw shucks, I'm just the King of England, really stuck it to Trump. In a big way, and not just to Trump, but to Republicans. And I think that's really critical, because if there's anybody on earth, and I cannot believe I'm saying this, if there's anybody on earth that can persuade the most powerful man on earth, who unfortunately happens to be Donald Trump, or maybe it's Vladimir Putin because he pulls the strings, but on paper, it's Donald Trump. There's anybody on earth who can persuade Trump to reassess, and I don't think it's likely, but it's like a Hail Mary pass. It would be Charles. It would be the King of England. And he talked nonstop about how NATO is an alliance. He specifically said we need to help Ukraine, for which I'm deeply grateful.
I have the clip. Let's watch it.
Play that.
9/11, when NATO invoked Article 5 for the first time, and the United Nations Security Council was united in the face of terror, we answered the call together, as our people have done so for more than a century, shoulder to shoulder, through 2 world wars, the Cold War, Afghanistan, and moments that have defined our shared security. Today, Mr. Speaker, that same unyielding resolve is needed for the defense of Ukraine and her most courageous people.
Fantastic. Notice how neither Mike Johnson or J.D. Vance got up. But I also would say this. The reason he is talking about Article 5 with NATO is because Trump has said repeatedly over the last few weeks that NATO is useless, that they never have come to our defense, and that is just complete and utter bullshit. The only time that Article 5 has been invoked, the only time the collective security provision of the NATO alliance has been invoked since the 1940s when NATO was created, was after September 11th, when we, the United States, was attacked, and Great Britain and every other NATO country and countries that are not part of NATO, like Australia and others, came to our defense and sent people to Afghanistan to fight the war that we asked them to fight, because it was Afghanistan and the Taliban and Osama bin Laden who attacked us. And it is not a coincidence also that today the King of England and the Queen are in New York at Ground Zero.
And I had to fight with all that traffic today. Yes.
Yeah.
They are here.
We're here downtown.
Yeah.
And you might ask, well, you know, of course, this is one of those things when somebody comes here, they go to Ground Zero to pay their respect. And that is true. But I think it's not just about that. I think it's also about the fact that he is reminding Donald Trump of what the United Kingdom did and NATO did after 9/11, after the greatest terrorist attack on American soil. What happened at Ground Zero and what happened after that? Immediately, almost immediately, we, along with our NATO allies, went to Afghanistan because of Article 5. And, you know, whether it is that memory or whether it is the King's invocation of the King's invocation of talking about the environment, because he's a huge environmentalist. Whether it is all of that, he also mentioned obliquely about meeting with survivors of unspeakable, or not meeting, he wouldn't meet with them, but, you know, people.
Yeah, he didn't meet with them, and he could have. Should have.
Right. But the point is that he, I think he didn't, frankly, for two reasons. One, well, he claims it's because he might be questioned as part of the inquiry in Britain. Okay, maybe. I think more than that, I don't think he wanted to stick it to Trump that overtly. I think, you know, they have to play I'm not excusing it. I'm just explaining why I think he didn't do it. I don't think it has to do with his brother so much as that would be probably a bridge too far. And again, he's there as a soft power person because Starmer has such a bad relationship with Trump. And they had a private meeting, and I'm curious to hear what he said to Trump in the private meeting. I don't know that we'll know. But the truth of the matter is he's the only one that could actually tell Trump the truth in his own nice way, where Trump might, and I mean might, maybe pay attention, because I don't think he's paying attention to anybody else. That's pathetic, guys. I'm sorry, for those of us who are American here, that is the complete antithesis of everything we stand for. And I'm not diminishing the royal family, and I'm not diminishing their role in either British affairs or the Commonwealth. For those of you who are part of the Commonwealth nations, I know we have a lot here, but I do think as Americans, it is just astonishing to me that it takes a man who was not elected to anything, basically hit the lucky, I mean, I don't know if he considers himself lucky, but nevertheless is there because, you know, he was part of the Lucky Sperm Club, to come and set the duly elected president of the United States straight. Crazy.
Yeah, and you know, Donald Trump has a monarchy obsession in the fact that that's what he wants for himself. And just to put this up again, it's not even that he wants to be King Charles. I think he wants to be King George, and that's another reason why I wanted to play that video in the beginning, because that is the kind of more authoritarian monarch, all, you know, encompassing power monarch that Donald Trump wants to be. And first of all, when Charles got out of the car, Donald Trump went to shake his hand in the most Trumpy way possible, which he always is, and pulled on his hand because he's a jackass. Look at that. Good God. It's like an arm wrestling thing with him. Always, it's like yank, yank, yank. And and here's another photograph, by the way, of the four of them: Camilla, Melania, Charles, and Trump. With Trump with his hand on his wife's ass. Because again,
what is her hamburger hat?
I know. Well, it's funny. I actually looked up that hat. It's kind of a stupid story, but I was looking for a hat to bring on vacation. That was like made a foldable hat that you could put in your suitcase. And I came across this one hat designer who makes them. But then I saw on his social media that he had made the hat for the inauguration. And I believe he made this one too. And I was like, nope, never buying a hat here. Clearly loves the Melania. And she wore a Christian Dior gown, I believe, to the state dinner, which was a strange choice, as it didn't really seem to fit her. But yet again, another sort of embarrassing moment for Donald Trump, as his wife would not hold his hand.
First of all, could we be petty for a second?
Always, please.
That is not a dress that merits long gloves,
No.
nor is it a dress that particularly fits her well.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
And there was kind of a surprising choice.
Yeah. Also, at state dinners, typically you either wear American designers or
a British designer.
I love Christian Dior, not that particular outfit,
He's from France. It's a French guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which speaking of, by the way, at the state dinner, so Charles had all kinds of these like little jokes, right? Now he had lots of things to say during his address to Congress, and we'll play a couple of those. But he also had these like little jokes, which seemed funny, haha, but were kind of jabs. And I have to wonder, I mean, we all picked up on it, but I wonder if Donald Trump, because I don't think that Donald Trump is smart enough to know that these are jabs, because he is so blinded by the quote unquote flattery that the King of England is expressing towards him, but it's not flattery. It's he's just petting him like a little baby puppy.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. So here's a little joke about French. Here we go.
You recently commented, Mr. President, that if it were not for the United States, European countries would be speaking German. Dare I say that if it wasn't for us, you'd be speaking French.
Sorry, can you go back to that for a second?
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
Indeed, you
eagle?
Recently commented, Mr. President.
I mean, you don't have to play
that
Charles.
if it were not
What is that?
Mr.
What is that
President.
eagle? What?
I don't know.
And then I love how Charles, by the way, who's really into architecture, just slammed the hell out of the East Wing.
Oh,
with that.
the East Wing, here it is.
Say so. It is a particular pleasure to be back in this wonderful building, the heart of your democracy. On this occasion, I cannot help noticing the readjustments to the East Wing, Mr. President. Following your visit to Windsor Castle last year. And I'm sorry to say that we British, of course, made our own small attempt at real estate redevelopment of the White House in 1814.
Right. He has no idea on the planet.
He has
what he's talking about.
no
no clue. For
clue.
people
And-
who are
and-
not American and might want to know what the king's talking about, the British burnt the White House in 1814 during the War of 1812, which lasted longer than just through 1812. Trump has no clue, by the way. He has no idea what
No clue. And
No
by the
clue.
way, I'm going to throw this banner up here. As he was speaking, I realized that I didn't spell England right for the first half of the show. No, that's what happened when I type too fast when I'm not paying attention. So then he speaks about Ukraine also during the dinner, which again, this would be the second time yesterday that he mentioned it.
World War II at a most critical time in the darkest days of the 20th century. American leadership helped rebuild a shattered continent, playing a decisive role as a defender of freedom in Europe. We and I shall never forget that, not least as freedom is again under attack following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Today, our partnerships in NATO and AUKUS deepen our technological and military cooperation and ensure that together we can meet the challenges of an increasingly complex and contested world.
I mean, pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, look, first of all, the fact that they had to send an ailing king here to pacify Trump is
Sad.
pathetic. I mean, it's sad, right? Because this man's not well. He's
Right.
going through cancer treatment. I have no idea whether his prognosis is terminal, but he's, it's not looking good. And the fact that they had to send him here, all Camilla did was complain about how jet lagged she was at the garden party, apparently.
Well, the garden party in which Trump, by the way, I don't know if you noticed this, cut in front of her, which he did to the Queen when she was here.
Yeah.
Here-
Well, no,
here's a video.
when he was in England.
Oh, is that when that was? Okay, here you go. God, he is such a dipshit.
I'm sorry, he's such a dipshit. I don't even care if she's the Queen of England.
So stupid.
Can I just say something?
Please.
I don't even care if she's the Queen of England. You don't cut in front of a woman like that.
No.
Like, who taught you manners?
Yeah. Or cut really in front of anybody.
Anybody.
Because he's like, I'm the most important. It's, what was the G20 or whatever it was that years ago when he like pushed all the other leaders out of the way and like went in the front.
And not for, I hate this expression, not for nothing, but not for anything, but he is on British soil there at the ambassador's residence.
Yeah.
And it's just like everything.
It's all him. It's all him. It's all got to be him. And it's Trump time 24/7 with him. And he can't imagine a world where anyone would be more important than him, especially in the United States. And he has no respect for anybody because he's like, well, I need to shake everyone's hand because I'm the most important. And I'm sure Camilla doesn't want to be there at all. I'm sure she detests the man.
I'm sure neither of them wants to be there. I mean,
Yeah.
everything we know about Charles is the guy is a total environmentalist, has been well before environmentalism was like a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
He is, I think, from everything I've read, just devoted to public service as he has been trained to do from birth. And to have to deal with this and come and bail out the relationship between his country and our country at the age of 78 or 79, as I said, as he's going through cancer.
Yeah, the same age as Donald Trump, pretty much.
Yeah, it's pathetic. It's sad. I'm sad for him. I'm sad for her. I'm sad for the British who felt compelled to have to send him here. I am sad for the United States that we elected this complete and utter dipshit, but at least we're responsible for that. What did the British do to deserve this?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And I believe this is the climate clip. I pulled it from Twitter. We're talking about America's resources and things like that.
Yeah. Before ours existed, before any border drawn, the mountains of Scotland and Appalachia were one, a single continuous range forged in the ancient collision of continents. The natural wonders of the United States of America are indeed a unique asset, and generations of Americans have risen to this calling. indigenous, political, and civic leaders, people in rural communities and cities alike, have all helped to protect and nurture what President Theodore Roosevelt called the glorious heritage of this land's extraordinary natural splendor, on which so much of its prosperity has always depended. Yet, even as we celebrate the beauty that surrounds us, our generation must decide how to address the collapse of critical natural systems, which threatens far more than the harmony and essential diversity of nature. We ignore at our peril the fact that these natural systems, in other words, nature's own economy, provide the foundation for our prosperity and our national security.
And here's the thing, and Julie's right. He's been an environmentalist before it was trendy to be one, and has always stuck by that. He's never wavered, and for that reason, his children are as well. And he understands what so many of us understand, that we only get one shot at this. The human race only gets one shot at this, and we are failing. We have failed. Some of what is happening to our climate is irreversible. There will be increasing amounts of famine and war over resources and disease that is going to arise from this, not to mention rising sea levels, and drought and superstorms and crazy weather. And it's only going to get worse, and it's going to get worse fast. And he understands this. The leaders of the free world understand this. Republicans in the United States also understand this. They just don't care. To them, they only care about their time on Earth, the time that they're here to dig up as much death as they possibly can from the depths of the Earth and set it on fire. Because they don't give a shit about anything else or anyone else with their data centers and everything, they don't care. And as he's saying this, I'm looking behind him as you got Tweedledee and Tweedleduh sitting behind him with their red ties on, because they have to be in costume. Apparently, they have to wear their Trump costume everywhere they go, in case anyone would be confused as to their identity or political affiliation without their stupid tie. The whole thing sickens me, because every day, Julie, it's headline after headline after headline about what the United States is doing. And I think about the climate hawks that we have in the House and in the Senate. I watched something with Brian Schatz recently. I believe this was last year, and he said, in the past I've said, hold on, wait for us, we'll be back, because he's a big climate guy. But in this instance, after this election, he's like, I have told people around the world, please keep going. I hope someday we'll be back. And you have a 13-year-old son, Julie. You don't want to leave him a planet that's on fire or polluted or diseased or without, water and it's disgusting. And for all of Charles's faults, and he does have many, I am so grateful to him as an American, and a very embarrassed American, standing and watching any of this. Like, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. And not to mention, Julie, and you and I texted about this earlier today, the guest list of the state dinner should appall every American, because we did not send our best, as Donald Trump would say. We sent some of our worst. We did not send artists or leaders in industry or thought or science or academia. We sent a cavalry of suntanned, tire-slashing Fox News hosts. That's who was sitting in that state dinner representing the United States of America. How embarrassing. Jesse Waters was there with his wife that he married. Well, by the way, he was married before slashed her tires. She worked at Fox News, slashed her tires so that he would have to drive her home and hit on her and get her to hook up with him. And now they're married, and she was his guest. Greg Gutfeld was there. These are all people you know, Julie. Greg Gutfeld, who is a raging anti-Semite. These are the people who spend their careers running their mouths on cable news, saying that climate change is a hoax, that Ukraine is to blame for the full-scale invasion from Russia, who have never mentioned the 100,000 children in Ukraine who have been snatched from their homes and families and sent to Russia, and the genocide against the Ukrainian people. It is sickening. It's sickening. The whole thing is disgusting.
So, look, I can't remember the last time we had a dinner where not one Democrat was invited.
Mm-hmm.
And not only was not one Democrat invited, they invited 4, I believe, or 3. Well, they invited Alito, they invited Thomas, they invited Coney Barrett,
Gorsuch.
Gorsuch.
Yeah, here's a list, and it's a long list, so we won't go through all of it.
Again, it is all the rich guys.
Yeah, it's
like
major donors. A lot of them. I mean, there was another article I forgot to pull, but all of like the net worth and donations of a lot of the people in this room. And again, like just on this first page, this is in the New York Times. Brett Baer, Senator, Republican senators. Okay, fine. But Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez. Maria
Bartiromo. I mean, it's
right. Justice Alito. I mean, Tim Cook, Ainsley Earhart, David Ellison, Neil Gorsuch.
Not one Democrat. Not one.
Yeah, and there's Greg Gutfeld.
It's pretty incredible because typically for dinners like this, you try to present a united apolitical front.
I'm a little horrified that Rory McIlroy was there. I'm a little horrified, but
well, he's from Northern Ireland. So.
I know. I get it. I'm just like, why?
I mean, Chris Ruddy. So listen, Chris Ruddy from Newsmax. That's Suzanne Scott. Can't say anything about that. The CEO of Fox News. That's an interesting one. So, it was a political thing, and I wrote this the other day, and I really mean this, and I truly, truly mean this. When this is all over, I swear on all that is holy, if Democrats go back to the status quo, I'm going to lose my shit. I just am. I mean, I just am. Especially when it comes to what they did with Jimmy Fallon, especially when it comes to this attack on the First Amendment. Like
Jimmy Kimmel,
excuse me, Jimmy Fallon, please.
I know, like Jimmy, like screw that guy.
Yes.
I would normally not have corrected you, but I was like,
yeah,
different Jimmy.
If anybody wants to take Fallon off the air, God bless. Yeah. But this was like the Fox News cycle. This was like the Fox News dinner. And as far as I'm concerned, if this is how Republicans want to play it, if this is how Trump and his enablers want to play it, Democrats should not return to the status quo ante when they regain power.
No,
we just wouldn't, right? There's like
no more.
No, the first
eye for an eye.
Yep, first people should feel the consequences are Rupert and Lachlan Murdoch. And if they're going to go after Kimmel, then we better go after Gutfeld. Gutfeld, who said that Jews in concentration camps had to be useful to survive, and it was so outrageous that the Auschwitz Memorial publicly slammed him and said that, of course, Jews did not, skilled or useful Jews, were not spared from the gas chamber. I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
Yeah, maybe like at first, but
No.
Well, Anna has told me stories about her grandfather was a hairstylist, right? And he ended up surviving for different. Right, yeah. But I'm saying like they spared because he can do the hair for the Nazi wives or whatever. But not everybody, like somebody had skills and then they were like, okay, you're done now. You know what I mean? It's and also just to even say that, to even be thinking about that, like what's wrong with you?
Yeah, and then, there's a guy named Hotep Jesus, a guy named Brian Sharp, who Gutfeld has repeatedly platformed in his late night show, who has a very long record of anti-Semitic commentary. He blamed Jews for making white supremacy, and I quote, a thought in people's minds through control of media, entertainment, Hollywood, and banking. He's defended Kanye West's anti-Semitic remarks as needing room to vent, quote unquote. He used anti-Semitic dog whistles, including triple parentheses. He suggested the phrase Holocaust denier was created to, and I quote, hide the truth. He appeared on Gutfeld's show wearing apparel promoting his Men of Order project, which is filled with misogynistic advice and reactionary claims about women. So, this is who Donald Trump is inviting to the White House to meet with the King of England. And it just gets worse from there. So if we're going to have a one-way speech code here where Jimmy Kimmel is dangerous, but Gutfeld is edgy, and where Disney has to be punished, but Fox needs to be protected, and if liberal comedy is incitement, but right-wing bigotry is entertainment, that arrangement, friends, should end. Yeah. And what needs to happen is as soon as Democrats regain power, they should call the Murdochs before Congress, both of them, Rupert and Lachlan, and ask them under oath what standards Fox applies to anti-Semitism, to Holocaust distortion, to threats, to dehumanization, to hate rhetoric. They need to subpoena internal communications about guest booking and Gutfeld. They should ask who approved this Hotep Jesus, who knew about his record, and whether Fox Standards Department raised objections. That last part is a joke because Fox doesn't have a standards department. They should call Fox's advertisers and ask why their brands are underwriting anti-Semitism. They should call cable carriers and ask why consumers are forced to subsidize Fox through bundled fees. They should call former Fox producers and executives. They should call civil rights groups. They should call Jewish organizations. They should call extremism experts. They should call media accountability researchers. They should build a public record so detailed that these people can't hide behind the word comedy. If that's what we're doing to Kimmel, and if we're inviting somebody, Gutfeld, to the White House now to go to a state dinner with the King of England and Suzanne Scott, the head of Fox News, then, same with Jesse Waters. Jesse Waters has been deeply racist against Asians.
Oh God, he's right. And women, it's a long list. And Jesse Waters is very impressed with himself. Yeah. Every time he does it, it's almost like he looks around the room and is like, who's mad at me? He's such a piece of shit. Jesse Waters sucks. I don't know how Jessica Tarlov sits there day in and day out, but she does. God bless. Jesse Waters is not a good person. He's a very bad person.
Gutfeld sucks worse. But I will say, But I will say this. I have to say when I
know it's just like, well, how low is the bar? It's low.
When I did that show, I had to put up with Kimberly Guilfoyle, so that was a whole separate nightmare. And Gutfeld,
the best is yet to come.
Yeah. So anyway, I say that to say that, this is all a complete and utter nightmare. And if this is how we're going to play it, this is how we should play it. And if you say to me, well, I don't know, Julie, this seems smells a little bit like censorship, right? Smells a little bit like an oppression of the First Amendment, right? Not at all. If Jimmy Kimmel needs to be yanked off the air for telling a joke that upset the First Lady, right? What the hell? And, Republicans understand the difference when they target Harvard and Disney and CNN and MS Now and universities and law firms or late night comedians. Great. Democrats should learn the same thing because we can't treat this like a one-way suicide pact anymore.
No.
What else is there to say? And
well, and this is in the shadows also of Jim Comey being indicted again. And this time for that thing he put on Instagram in the seashells that says 8647. Now, if you don't know what 86 means at restaurants or whatever, if you're out of an item, 86, it just means get rid of it. Okay. It doesn't mean anything more than that. Now, mind you, when Joe Biden was president, a lot of conservative companies, candidates were selling merchandise that said 8646. There is an endless supply of it. They were all grifting and merching off of that. And for them to now, the pearl clutching not to mention Kash Patel, apparently, because he's a moron, and some of the charge that wasn't in there, and he went, did a press briefing and shared some, confidential information and evidence, I guess, that was given to a grand jury. I mean, the whole thing, they're all just morons. These people are idiots. And yeah, there's somebody in the comments that said, nobody thinks 86 means violence. Literally, no one thinks that. This is a major stretch.
Well,
and
if it does, then Jack Posobiec
Mhm.
should be in prison because he wrote in January 2022, 8646.
Mhm.
Right? So when is that indictment coming? And I gotta say, I don't want to go back to norms anymore. I mean, I do, but at first I think these people need to be held accountable. And after they're done being held accountable, then we could go back to norms. But first and foremost, they need to be held accountable. And the reality is that they will not learn their lesson until they are punished for this shit. And if we are going after these people, then we're going to go after these people. And every single thing that they said, including Donald Trump. Donald Trump has said a lot of things, not as president, but before he was president in the year leading up to his presidency.
Right. This doesn't count for the official acts.
And there's a 5-year statute of limitations. So if I'm the Democrats right now, and I mean right now, I'm getting ready to get those indictments so that I can present them to a grand jury within the first week of when I get back into office. And
I'd be campaigning on that shit is what I'd be doing.
Yeah, because you need to send them a message. You need to send them a message. Like, I don't know why we're not talking about this stuff. Talk about it for 2 reasons. 1, so they understand what's coming if they continue down this path. And 2, frankly, the rest of us need to hear it. The rest of us need to hear it. If I were J.B. Pritzker or Gavin Newsom, like Gavin Newsom's got to stop with this stupid Twitter shit and actually talk about what he's going to do. Like, he's got to talk about what he's going to do, which is...
He needs to do both. In my opinion, needs to do both. Because I do think that the trolling and making fun of these people is an important piece of this.
Fine. But I think it's annoying. You and I disagree on that. What I think would be helpful is if he said, you know what, if I'm president, I'm going to appoint you an attorney general. And I would say just listen, I don't want to hear about how, no, the president of the United States can't direct the attorney general to do anything. Bullshit. That used to be the case.
Right.
That used to be the case, not anymore. So I, Gavin Newsom, or I, J.B. Pritzker, or I, Michelle Kinney, or whoever wants to run for president in 2028 has to stand up and say, I can't do it because I'm constitutionally barred, but has to do it, stand up and say, I am going to appoint an attorney general who on day 1 will indict John Trump for things that he said in 2024 when he wasn't president. Because in 29, there's a statute of limitations and the clock will be ticking. 5 years will be over. You've got to do it in the first week. And the same applies to everybody else. And if Trump wants to pardon all of these people on his way out the door, then all of these people need to understand that they're targets and they better pray to the sweet baby Jesus they get a pardon from him. But not all of them are going to be assured that he's going to pardon them because he might drop dead before he can pardon them. You don't know. He might just say, fuck it, I'm not going to pardon you because I don't feel like it. Jared Kushner, guess what, buddy?
Oof.
In the dock. In the dock.
I saw somebody on Twitter start calling Pete Hegseth, who's, by the way, in a hearing today before what committee, I don't know, but the Secretary of War Crimes. And I was like, you know what? I like that. That's going to stick. I'm going to start calling him that because he is. And he's somebody who's not only should be held accountable by our government, but by the governments around the world for his, breaking international laws. And all of these people, and, Julie and I went to an event a couple Mondays ago with Jack Schlossberg, who's running for Jerry Nadler's seat in New York 12. And he came in, he was talking to everybody as we're all kind of milling about. And he says, what issues are most important to you? And he asked me first, and I go, Trump. And he's like, I get you're not a fan. And I was like, no. Well, I think he was like, he was joking. You know what I mean? I was like, what? He doesn't know who I am. He doesn't know what I do for a living. So whatever. But I was like, I said, I am tired of electing Democrats who don't do anything. I am tired of the kumbaya, and I am tired of people not using their power and influence to be on the Capitol steps every single day with a microphone and a camera and whomever will show up to talk about it. Because sitting around and doing nothing is not working. It's not working. And in fact, it's led us here. So I was like, that is the most important thing. If you are not fighting Trump and the MAGA movement every single day in some way, shape, or form, like, yes, housing, all that stuff is very, very important, but we don't get any of it. We don't get any of it if this continues. I cannot see anything that is more important than taking down Trump and MAGA.
Yeah, I agree. And I think what people misunderstand, because they're living hand to mouth, and understandably so, the price of everything is going up. They're saying we don't have time to preserve our democracy. We need to, be able to afford to eat, or we need to be able to afford to, our rent, or so on. I get it. But if you don't protect your democracy, look what's happening now. You get people committing war crimes, which is why food is more expensive, which is why the price of gas is more expensive. Everything.
The most expensive it's ever been.
Everything. And meanwhile, friends, guess what's transiting through the Strait of Hormuz over the weekend? No problem. So let me just be very clear. The United States put a blockade on the Strait of Hormuz with everything from Iran coming in and out. Iran has put basically everything, a de facto blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. Oil tankers are sitting there idling. Fertilizer is sitting there idling. Nothing is passing through. But the officially richest man in Russia, it's really Vladimir Putin, but this guy on paper is the richest man in Russia, who is the head of their steel company, stole all the, these are complete grifters, worth in excess of $100 billion. His mega yacht, the Nord, on its way from getting repaired in Dubai, on its way to the Seychelles, went through the Strait of Hormuz, no problem. Pete Hegseth, where's the Navy to stop that guy?
Right.
This is the same Russian oligarch who has been sanctioned by the United States, whose yacht should have been seized, like his other ship was seized. He had a smaller yacht that was seized by the Italians a few years ago. I don't know why we didn't seize his yacht. It's supposed to be seized. Under the noses of the United States Navy. Somebody should have asked Pete Hegseth that question today. And this is the same part of the same ecosystem that has been working with the Iranians to give them targeting against the United States military. That's what the Russians have been doing. And on the very same day that this has been happening, and on the very same day, in the same couple of days that we're doing this, that we're allowing this guy's mega yacht to just roll on through. His name is Alexei Mordashov, by the way. You had Putin meeting with the Iranians, with the Iranian delegation, and basically Putin saying that, and I quote here, in St. Petersburg, he hosted an Iranian delegation, and he applauded the Iranians for, quote unquote, courageously fighting for their sovereignty against the United States. And the Iranian foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, praised his country's quote unquote, strategic relationship with Moscow. And on social media, he said that, quote, recent events have evidenced the depth and strength of our strategic partnership. So who's able to go through the Strait of Hormuz? Not anything to lower our gas prices, not anything to lower the price of food. A rich guy's mega yacht, a Russian guy's mega yacht.
I've said it before, I will say it again. Donald Trump, Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio, Jared Kushner, Steve Witkoff, JD Vance, Elon Musk, and Peter Thiel, and I'm sure a much longer list than that, are traitors to the United States of America. They are traitors.
Yep.
Traitors. Yep. And we should never, ever, ever, ever forget or let up on that. These people have sold out a 250-year democracy for their own power and enrichment.
Yep. Yep. And Donald Trump is at the head of that.
Did I say Trump? I meant to say Trump. Trump,
Yeah.
obviously, yes.
Yeah.
I don't even remember if I say his name anymore because just
It goes without saying.
it goes without saying, and he's the worst president of the we've ever had of the United States of America. The worst. And we've had some bad ones, some pretty bad ones. He's by far the worst and by far the stupidest.
Yeah. So, you know, there is a lot going on. There's so much to unpack just in the last 24 hours, in the last, couple of days with this mega. I mean, it's such a visual of oil tankers idling that our Navy can't get them through, can't escort them through. But meanwhile, this mega yacht just sails on through Strait of Hormuz. No problem.
Why not? Of course. I mean, like, hello. This is where not to get on a tangent here, but this is where the corporate media is failing the American public. This is where people like Julie and myself and other independent creators and journalists have to speak up and connect the dots for the American people, because our legacy media and corporate media is not doing it. Is anyone reporting on this beyond, like, I don't know, the 15th page on Bloomberg.com? Like, I don't know. Only the people who are reading Bloomberg.com, and I'm just using that kind of arbitrarily, but whatever website is going to have this, or who subscribes to Julie's, Substack is going to know about this. It's a niche group. And the story needs, and this is, again, where we need storytellers in this moment. It is so important that we are connecting the dots and telling the story of how this group of people sold out the United States of America. And we have to visualize it, and we have to put words to it in the plainest of language so that everybody of any intellect can understand it and connect it to their own suffering and struggles day in and day out, trying to make it in this country. We cannot stop. And however we do it, figure it out. Everyone's got different means and ways to tell stories. We have to do it in all of our ways, because we cannot ever again count on legacy or corporate media to do anything. I mean, part of the reason why I think there's been so much apathy from this weekend of what happened in the White House Correspondents' Dinner. There was breaking news shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. I don't know how many people care anymore. Not to mention, like, people are like, well, and here's the other thing, Julie. With all of the fainting couches in legacy media too, saying, oh, all these conspiracy theories about this was fake and it was staged. And I'm like, well, what else do you think people are going to think? They don't believe you. And by the way, they don't believe you not because Donald Trump was saying fake news. That's not why. It's because they didn't stand up to that and prove otherwise. They haven't stood up to him. They haven't been the truth tellers in this moment. They have been the ones capitulating.
You know what my attitude about that shooting is? It is to say that I'm sorry that anybody's life was placed in danger. I truly am sorry for that.
Me too.
But, and it's not really a but, because that should be the end of the sentence. I'm sorry anybody's life was placed in danger. I am much sorrier that my child has to do something that other kids in other countries don't do, which is do mandatory active shooter drills. Because the people in that room have done nothing to prevent that from happening. And as much as Trump talks about needing a bunker and needing a ballroom, a secure ballroom, where does my kid go to get his secure classroom? Where do all of our kids go to get their secure classrooms?
Yeah. I think we need a ballroom, a 3,000 square foot ballroom for every classroom in America.
Yeah.
And I don't say that jokingly.
Why
that's the answer, then let's do it.
Why is his miserable fucking life worth more than my kids. I mean, why?
Mm-hmm.
And all of our children. Why? Why do I have to walk down the streets of New York City, which used to have the strongest gun laws in the nation, because this Supreme Court has decided that now anybody can carry concealed weapons? Why do I have to worry that somebody now is going to whip out a gun when neither I nor the residents of the city want that?
Mm-hmm.
Because this court has decided that whatever the hell applies in Alabama should apply here.
Yeah. And because of people like
where's my
Stefanik.
Yeah, but where's my beast? Where's my car?
Mm-hmm. I don't
That's
care.
gonna be, where's my Secret Service? And I think that's what's been roiling me since this whole shooting. And by the way, for all the people who are saying they feel bad for the press corps, like Wolf Blitzer, who was obviously feet away from this shooter and so on, I feel bad for them too. But you know what I'm going to say? They do, and let me just preface by saying they do not deserve this. None of them deserve this. But how about you fucking stop showing up? This is aside from the shooting. How about you stop fucking showing up to honor the quote unquote First Amendment?
Yeah.
And sit in a room with somebody like Pete Hegseth, who threw the press corps out of the Pentagon. Donald Trump, who calls you the enemy of the people. And you think wearing some bullshit lapel is going to keep you like that? That's your virtue signaling? That so reminds me of the people who are sitting there during the Time's Up movement, like Oprah and all these people at the Oscars or the Emmys or whatever the hell it was, Golden Globes, wearing their little Time's Up ribbons, virtue signaling because they're apparently on the side of, women who are sexually harassed or assaulted, when in reality, they knew all about Harvey Weinstein and not one of them fucking did anything about it.
Yeah, listen, and this is a conversation for another day, but like I'm looking at my own former industry of theater and like how literally no one is ever canceled because Scott Rudin is back on Broadway working again after all of the complaints. And you've got Jesse Metcalf being like, oh, well, he said he's sorry and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you know what? And there was a Me Too story that was supposed to be published in the New York Times back when all that was happening, and somebody killed it and it was never published. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But this is widespread in every industry, everywhere we go. And it's all virtue signaling. It's all bullshit until we all step up and actually put ourselves in between, the people who are victims and the ones who are doing the victiming. Nothing's going to change. It's all, that's it. That's it. And same goes for Donald Trump. We can talk about it all day long, and they can say on CNN or right in the New York Times, oh, well, a president changed, or he seems to have a different attitude about this. Okay, how? Why? And why should people be upset about it? Like, that's the other thing. Like, they report on the stakes or the rat race, but never the consequences of it. They never say, well, if he does this, then this will happen, or this could happen.
And they don't ever connect the dots.
Never. Everything is a singular story.
Yeah. And it's like, this happened, and then this happened, and they're running around with their chickens with their heads cut off. And it's just, I don't know. It's all very enraging. It's not even depressing. It's enraging, which is why.
Yeah, enraging is.
Yeah, which is why I go back to what I said before, which is, I want justice and I want it now. And I have yet to see a candidate running for president who has the guts to fight fire with fire. And that's why I'm annoyed with Newsom with his tweets. Why, all of these people like Kamala Harris, who's like, I don't know, maybe I'm going to run, maybe I won't. Well, give me a fucking reason to support you. What are you going to do differently than you did last time? What are you going to say? You're going to go back to the way things were under Biden? No effing way.
Not interested.
Not interested. Pass, hard pass.
Not interested.
Hard pass.
And I say that as a lot of people are mentioning in the chat today about May Day. Yes, May Day is the name of our network, but May Day, 2 words separately, is May 1st, which a lot of people are planning for a general strike in support of workers in this country. And to the best of my ability, I will do that. I'm going to be out on Friday for I'm fine. Everything's fine. I'm going to be out. And, but Julie will be here holding the fort and hopefully able to talk about this because it's important. It is important. And again, bringing us back to why we came on here in the first place today, which was the King of England, a monarch being sent to the United States to defend democracy in the United States of America. What a sad state of affairs. And again, thank God it wasn't a trophy, but he did, and this is custom, right? To give a gift when you go to another country to visit in this manner. And I just want to play this last clip here. This is Charles. And again, he managed to get in a little bit of a dig here, but gave a gift to Donald Trump during the dinner.
Of submarine alliances, there was one particular AUKUS predecessor launched from a UK shipyard in 1944 that served for the majority of her life attached to the 4th Submarine Squadron in Australia, playing a critical role during the war in the Pacific. Her name? HMS Trump. So tonight, Mr. President, I am delighted to present to you, as a personal gift, the original bell which hung on the conning tower of your valiant namesake. May it stand as a testimony to our nation's shared history and shining future. And should you ever need to get hold of us, well, just give us a ring.
So, couple things. One is, I don't know if you noticed, Trump was not even looking at the king until he heard his name and until he heard gift. And all of a sudden he's like, huh? And he started looking at him. Yeah, the other thing that I think is, the other thing is, I love how he jumps up before it's really his time to get up. But the third thing I think is fascinating is he's not allowed to take that with him. That belongs to the United States government. Wow. And he will steal it. He will steal that. He will take that back to Mar-a-Lago with him when he is gone. And again, no crime too small to prosecute. He will have taken that after. Yeah. After he's no longer president.
Just like he takes all, the files, all the stuff. I mean, he believes that the Oval Office belongs to him, that the things that are given or that take place there are his. And just like the East Wing was his, and he demolished the East Wing without asking anybody or telling anybody. He just did it. And as it turns out, taxpayers are going to pay for this. Wow, shocking. And look, the contracts were sealed in private. And they are friends with Trump. Oh my God, shocking. Everything is exactly how we knew that it would be. We could come on all day long every day and just kind of go through the list of things that we are horrified and enraged about. But we have to stay vigilant. We have to stay in the fight. And, it's hard. It's really hard to not just be completely exhausted and apathetic about the whole thing. But we're getting closer and closer. I really do believe every day. And I have to say, Julie, I don't know if you've been watching the chat, but we have a lot of trolls here lately on the Mayday Network. Yes, welcome. But also yay, we've made it, guys. We've made it. We've got MAGA trolls in the chat. We must be catching on. So thank you so much for all the engagement. It's helping us get the word out and build our channels. Thank you so much.
To our friends in the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth, we're sorry again. We're sorry that you had to send your head of state here to be subjected to this monster. And to all of us in the United States, stay strong. The midterms are coming up. if you just noticed, we can have a whole separate show on this. The Supreme Court just effectively gutted the Voting Rights Act and will probably, as a result, allow both Louisiana and Tennessee to illegally, well, apparently not illegal anymore, but to add about a half a dozen and maybe even more Republican seats by erasing any districts that were created under the Voting Rights Act to protect minority voting rights. That is the country in which we live. And so, friends, this is not a short-term project. It is not going to be over when it's over this week, or this year. It is not going to be over in 2028 when we elect a new president. The Republicans have been working on taking over the Supreme Court for a generation, and they have succeeded. And do the same.
This has been John Roberts' dream to gut the Voting Rights Act. I mean, this has been his career, lifelong dream. And they've achieved it. They have. Yep. And, congrats, because again, when Democrats are in power, if they do not go balls to the wall with everything, including packing the court, you don't get my support. And that's just, that's just that.
Yep.
And just to people in the chat who are also, Mayday viewers, and we see you and I recognize you. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about the real trolls who, by the way, you probably didn't even see because our moderators are so badass that they kick them out before you even see it. So thank you to our moderators. We are so grateful to you. And honestly, probably couldn't have such an inviting and community oriented chat here when we do these lives. So thank you so much for helping us out when you can. It's awesome. You guys rock. And to that, Julie, some programming notes. Tomorrow is Thursday, April 30th at 11 o'clock in the morning. We'll be Pax Americana with Julie Roginski and Olga Lautman. And then at nighttime, we will be broadcasting episode 7 of The Illegals, which is our Americans Rewatch podcast. And if you guys haven't been noticing, Matthew Reese has been on a press tour and he's been everywhere. So you better believe I'm all up in the comments telling everybody about this podcast because I really think it's good and it's a lot of fun and it's super interesting because we have a panel of not only fun, awesome people, but experts in this subject matter. And, Julie is a refugee from the Soviet Union who moved to the United States right around the same time that this show starts. So it's been really great. And then Friday morning, we're going to have Breaking the News with Jeff Jarvis and Julie and myself. We are going to pre-tape that tomorrow because I'm going to be out on Friday. But, other than that, Julie, any final thoughts?
No, I think we're in good shape. I hope everybody who's joining us on Saturday mornings for our Saturdays for Sanity loves that we've added Dana Dubois and Lawrence Winterman to the mix. We love having them here. And so I hope we all hope that you love them as much as we do. And on that note, have a great rest of the day, everybody. We may be back today, depending on what.
You just never know. You just never know. Well, Julie, it's always a delight to see you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.